Welcome back to Norton Reviews, everyone. I am your host, John Norton, and we are looking at a series of Punisher books called Punisher: The Final Days. In the last video, we already looked at parts 1 and 2, Extortion and Attacks. We'll get into part 3. Oh my God! What the fuck happened to this guy? Oh, Jesus. Oh, it's Jigsaw. Cool cover, right? It's right in your face, literally. Drawn by Joe Quesada, inks by Jimmy Palmiotti. Cool detail in the scars and everything here, with a crazy fucking eyeball and his gross teeth, and I like the knife with the Punisher's reflection in it. As I talk about this storyline going forward, I'll talk about how it reminds me of an old school 80s or 90s action movie, you know, that you could see Sylvester Stallone starring in, or Schwarzenegger, or Bruce Willis, or whoever would be the star back in the day of something like this. It's just told really well. It's not world-ending stakes. It's a big deal for him, for the Punisher. And I've always liked Punisher as a character. He resonated with me for whatever reason, and I think he can be one of the most interesting characters if done right. I think too often, especially, I don't know about lately, but later, in later years, Punisher became too violent for me, especially under Garth Ennis, where he was just a little bit too psychotic. I mean, he has to be a little bit crazy to do what he's doing. Nobody can just kill people like that and just be sane. But to me, Punisher was always level-headed enough. I mean, he had a singular focus of eliminating criminals and doing it as violently as he could, but he wasn't, a torturer when he didn't need to be. He basically just I'm going to kill you and be done with it. He was almost on par with Batman, but, Batman's obviously more well-trained. He's smarter, more well-disciplined than the Punisher is. But I've always liked the Punisher, and I feel sometimes people make him too violent. But where did we leave off in the last couple of issues? Kingpin, who's a big villain in Punisher's lore, kidnapped Punisher's assistant / partner. Microchip is his name, like the guy in the chair, the brains of the outfit, and forced Punisher to take out Kingpin's competition, which Punisher did. And then at the end of the last issue, the police showed up, probably because the Kingpin tipped him off, and arrested him. Punisher, he says he could have gotten out of that situation, but he'd have to kill cops to do it, which is he's not ready to do. So he was arrested at the last issue. So we'll open it up here, and this opening page is kind of fun. You got this cool bird's eye view of Punisher in this cell / interrogation room, and there's all this lettering on the wall, like someone was writing shit on the wall of a bathroom, just random stuff, almost like graffiti too, with the font here. Punisher plea bargain, it says. But this is the letters page, and it's funny, some of the stuff. So Mike Baron is the writer. It says writes, big ones, call 555-1212. Hugh Haynes, the penciler, draws flies. That's funny. Jimmy Palmiotti, who inks. It says stinks, but crossed out the ST, so it says inks right there. Ken Lopez is a letterman. He does the letters, I guess. Marcus David is Hugh-Man. I guess that's the colorist. Don Daly, the Deadline King, and Tom DeFalco, the Godfather, editors and all that. So, you got the Punisher here, and you hear a news story of what, kind of recapping what happened in the last issues, and this wormy little lawyer guy comes in. Why Daredevil wasn't around to take this case, I don't know. Would he have or not? I don't, whatever. So, this is the lawyer that's been assigned to him, public defender. And they start going through all the charges. And he's like, Mr. Castle, people tell me that you're a vigilante called the Punisher. Are you the Punisher? And he's not, Punisher isn't confirming that. He doesn't want to say like, yes, I am the Punisher, because then he'd be like locked away for sure. And then you can see on the eyes there, the Punisher logo is inside his eyes, which was always kind of a neat effect. Wait, no, it's not. I thought it was. When I looked down lower, it was. Maybe it should have been. My bad. Anyways, so this stupid lawyer, he's taking notes, but he's actually just like drawing shit, hangman like. So you can you get the sense that this lawyer is not on the up and up for sure. Gosh, would people quit fucking calling me? The lawyer just kind of talking about the case a little bit more. They're talking about how they want to, Miami wants to extradite him to there because he was seen killing a cop, which happened in a previous issue of The Punisher, but that cop was like no good. He was, bad news. Punisher wouldn't kill him for that. But he's also saying you've got some supporters. There's people doing protests outside the police station saying like free Punisher. And then he's asks again, are you the Punisher? Cool, down shot. And he's just, again, being silent. And he's still just doodling. This guy's not taking it seriously. He's not taking notes. He's not wanting to really do anything for the Punisher. So he's like, Punisher says, I killed those men in self-defense. He says he wants to do a plea bargain with him to basically plead guilty to a couple of smaller, what do you call it? Accusations or charges. Because if he gets taken to Miami, if he's extradited there, they're definitely going to like try and execute him there. So in the meantime, they put him in a cell with all these like these no good guys. I'll also be talking about this artist, Hugh Haynes. I don't really know much about him, but I really like his stuff. There are times that he does some things that I don't really like. Maybe he got a little tired. Or maybe he was on a deadline, but he tells a story really well. You understand everything that's going on, and he puts the detail where it needs to be. And he does some cool action stuff. I like this down angle with like the shadows from the bars and everything. But then sometimes he'll do other things that aren't as good for whatever reason. I'll point them out when we get to it. So it cuts to this plane coming to Thailand, is like landing in this field strip in the middle of nowhere, and that's where Microchip is. And this is, he was kidnapped by Kingpin, and they said they'd let him go if Punisher did what they needed to do. And Kingpin is a matter of his word. Punisher did what he needed, but they dropped Microchip off in the middle of fucking nowhere, basically, in Thailand. And it's 130 miles to Bangkok. So then the plane just takes off and he just kind of left. And that's kind of a same angle mirroring what's going on with the Punisher. Was that intentional or not? Probably, maybe. So Microchip is, he's walking. Looks like it's raining. People really want to get a hold of me, but it's no one I know. But it's a tough road. He gets some help. He's exhausted once he gets up to somebody, and he doesn't speak, the language. But luckily, this guy speaks English enough. So he gets a ride with this guy to get to a phone. Okay, I get it. Jesus Christ. And they're swooping along. This kind of a cool image of them on the motorcycle going through this village, and he gets to a phone. And he makes a call to get some, to be able to get out of Thailand. And so it goes back to New York, and there's the lawyer, and he's walking through, and there's a couple of reporters asking, like, is your client the Punisher? He's like, I can't say good night. But then there's this limo, and it picks him up, and it's the Kingpin. And this is where it's confirmed that this guy is working for the Kingpin. And they're like, you're going to make sure that the Punisher, goes away? He's like, absolutely. He's going to do a plea bargain. He wants to go to prison. Like, he's going to do some time. And cool shot of like this silhouette profile Kingpin as he's blowing out smoke. He's like, good job. Here's your payment. You have a date tonight. Don't worry, she's already paid for. So, little wormy guy. So, Punisher's in jail and he's thinking about, he has this dog that we saw in the last issue, this dog Max, that's kind of his guard dog. And it showed that Punisher has a friend, you know. The dog was really sweet to him, but it looked like he was fucking vicious at first. But he's a good boy. So he's kind of thinking like, oh, hopefully like Max has enough food. He has enough water for now, but, you know, got to get there to take care of him. And then this guy comes up to him, wants his shoes. And Punisher, like, lifts up his shoes like, you want them? And he's about to grab them. But Punisher just fucking takes them. Weird continuity. He puts up his right foot to his face, but then does this weird side kick with his left foot. Whatever. So he kicks him in the stomach and then gives this guy, I don't know if it's the same guy or not. I can't tell. Knees him in the face. Cracks him with his elbow. And then he's like, who else wants my shoes? And then these guys are like, I do. And this guy's just swearing up a storm down here. So that's kind of some cool stuff. Again, you get the action beat that's going on here, and it's not too terribly flashy, but it looked like you feel the energy in it. You feel like the violence in it. And then the police officers, they're watching on the monitors, but they're just playing cards, and it's like, they don't really care. It's like, maybe Castle will kill them all. Who cares? So Punisher's just beating the fuck out of these guys. That's a weird kick to the face. And then this guy's like, wait a minute, you're the Punisher. And Punisher kicks him right in the face too with that boot. So he fucked up all these guys pretty fast. And then there's a priest here. And he's like, does anybody want to confess? That's a weird transition. And Punisher's like, I need to confess. It's been too long. And it's going to get a lot worse. So, okay. That's whatever. So then it goes to the trial. And he's telling him that you need to plead guilty to the charges that here, so they don't take you to Miami. Basically, what they were talking about earlier. And he's like, if you go to Miami, they're going to try you on as a cop killer, so they're going to be waiting for you like right away. So they enter the plea of guilty. And then, so the judge gives him his sentence. I sentence you to 10 years in prison on each of 3 counts of manslaughter. Sentences to be served consecutively at the New York Corrections Island Institution at Rikers Island. So 30 years at least. And then the lawyer, he's like trying to like, oh, we had an understanding that he'd go to a different place. And he's like, I have no such understanding. And this lawyer's like, they double-crossed us. I'm going to appeal. And Punisher's like, fucking save it. I know that you're working for the Kingpin. He's got his hooks in you so deep. He's like, oh, that's not true. And so he's like, you got to believe me. And he's like, see you soon, counselor. Real soon. What's that supposed to mean? And then the judge is looking down at him, and he's talking with somebody, and it's the Kingpin too. So the Kingpin had the lawyer and the judge to send Punisher away. So now Punisher's in prison. Like, again, an old school action movie where like the hero, sometimes a cop, is like wrongly convicted of whatever and sent to prison, having to deal with all the shit in there. Kind of like in Tango and Cash. And where else was that done? Like, it's been done to death. But it's like, it is a cool story beat. So he's in prison now. Some people recognize him, like, oh, fuck, you know? And then some guys are like, oh, there's a lot of guys here. We're anxious to see you. So he goes in and he meets his bunkmate, and he's an okay guy. And he realizes who the Punisher is. He's like, you can have whatever bunk you want. And then they go walking out. Everyone's seeing who he is. And this guy's saying, you need to join a gang of some kind, probably the Aryan Nation, or the blacks and Hispanics, he says, will eat you alive. So there's different gangs out there, which again, is that a real thing in prison? I don't know, you tell me. And so then somebody says something from behind him, and it's fucking Jigsaw, like, oh my God, like with that fucking crazy eye. So it's a cool Punisher storyline. You got to put like Punisher's like main villains in it at some point. Kingpin and Jigsaw are probably number 1 and 2. So Jigsaw and these other guys come at him suddenly, and he's having to fight them off. But Jigsaw is saying like, he's mine. And, you know, you got this crowd around, like, forming a circle, like, cheering the fight on. And this guy's like, you can have whatever's left with him. And he's got this knife. So he comes at the Punisher. But somebody stops. No, he cuts him here. But then somebody stops him. Or Punisher stops him. It's hard to tell. Somebody definitely stops him right here. And this new guy, he's like, Jigsaw gets the Punisher. And then they introduces this other guy, I forget, Gregario. I don't know if he's been in past Punisher comics. I'm not really familiar with him. But that's the end of this issue. And with a cool pinup in the back. It's kind of funny, this dude. So things are heating up. Punisher is in the slammer. Fun stuff. So let's get on to the next issue. Where is it? I had it. Okay, here we go. Part 4 of 7, number 56 of Punisher. Again, by Joe Quesada. This is a cool image. I mean, his face is wrapped up, so, like, what happened there? He must have gotten fucked up. And he's running from the prison in the background. You see this cool Punisher skull with the towers forming like the teeth, I guess you would call it. Cool cover. You know, it grabs your attention. And you're like, what the fuck is going on here? Kind of another fun way to do the credits page with a writer, penciler, and like they're all doing their mugshots here. The artist, Hugh Haynes, that must be him. He must have like looked at each of them and drawn what they look like. Fun stuff. So, Punisher is being held. You got Jigsaw here and this guy Gregario, and I still don't know what this fucking neck brace on Jigsaw is. Like, what is the point of this? I don't really know. I was talking about that in like where he appeared in the Avengers once. So they got him handcuffed here, and these guys are holding him back. And so this guy Gregario throws Jigsaw this knife, and he catches it, and he brings it forward. But Punisher is able to lift this guy over, and Jigsaw accidentally kills him right there. And then this guy falls down. But there's still too many guys. He's handcuffed here, so they're about to get him, and they slash his face right there really quick. But then somebody stops him. And it's this guy, and basically what it is, this is the head of the Aryan gang. A Nazi dude, you know, like he's going to look after his white brother, so to speak. And so he stops the fight. He says, like, hey, before you do anything, you have to check with us before this new guy. If he wants to be part of us, then he's got our protection. And they're like, catch you later, Punisher. And he's like, welcome to the Aryan Brotherhood. Aryan? I don't know how you pronounce it. And he says, no thanks, Punisher says. You ignored my hospitality? Looks like it. Like, Punisher doesn't want to have anything to do with these fucks. So good job, Punisher. And then this guy's yelling after him. You see the swastika and shit on him. He's like if you don't have friends, you're not gonna last a week in this joint. You're fucking dead. Punisher's not worried about it. And then he's asking his cellmate here, like, how Jigsaw end up here, and gives a quick explanation. And then Punisher's like, I need a shiv, I need a knife, a makeshift knife that tells you down here. Like, if he's gonna last, he needs some kind of a weapon. So it goes, we cut to Bangkok, and Microchip is trying to find a way back home. And he has a package at some hotel or some shop. I don't know what it is. But he doesn't have any ID that this guy is asking for. And he's like, hey, my friend who sent this guy in Zurich, like, he'd be unhappy if you failed to deliver the package. And he's like, well, yeah, that guy also said that you're a genius and you'd find a way to prove yourself. So he's like trying to think. And there's this game in the background, this video game. You see it up here, back here. It's called Tank Attack. And we saw in the first chapter 1, that Microchip had invented this game, this video game that was up for an award. So he sees it. He's like, I invented that game. My name will be listed. He's like, oh, yes, that game is very difficult. He's like, if you beat the high score, then I believe you, and but it costs you 10, I don't know, bots, BAHTS, some kind of currency. He's like, will you loan me them? And he's like, I'll give you some for your watch. He'll give you 20 of them. So they make an exchange. Microchip is playing the game. And come on, baby, come to Papa. And you hear all like the sound effects. And this guy's getting worried because he's doing so well. And then it essentially beats the game. And so he takes his case, and there's a lot of money and a passport in there. And he's like, thanks, my man. And thanks for sending carrying the game. And the kids are like hooting and hollering and like, hey, good job. So he uses the money, and he's getting a disguise. So however he does that, he gets contacts instead of his glasses. He gets a haircut and a shave, I guess. And he gets a fake wig and a beard, so people won't recognize who he is when he goes back. And then he gets on a plane and heads off. Cool shot there of the plane. Back to the Rikers Island. Punisher's eating by himself. And he's thinking to himself. And now, I was talking about earlier, like some of these text boxes when he's thinking to himself, that I thought it was like his war journal. And it made sense in those other issues. But now, like, he's not talking in a journal. So he is just thinking to himself. And I guess this is a better way to do it than, like, thought bubbles. But these guys are looking at him and talking about how, like, Punisher killed people that they know. He's history. A lot of people don't like him. And then this guy, this new dude, his name is Derek Pike. And I'm going to mention this because it comes up later, and it's an important part, which I don't quite understand. But this guy's black, obviously, and Punisher's white, obviously. So this guy comes up, he's like, I got a score to settle with you. And he's like, Derek Pike, the cannibal. He's like, suit yourself. Like, you want some shit? Like, let's do it. And then this guy says, hey, you don't know me, but you actually saved my sister's life once on the outside. So I'm going to do you a favor. There's a knife in my mashed potatoes. But you got to do me a favor first. And it's like, what's the favor? So this guy wants to help him, apparently. He's like, I got something for you, and it's hidden here. But you do something for me, and what's that? He's like, punch me in the face, or they'll know that I helped you, and they'll kill me. So he's like, I want to help you, but you got to make it look like we're fighting each other. And he's like, do it now. He smashes these potatoes in his face, which has the knife, which drops into his hand. He immediately punches him really quick. And before he's taken away, you can see that the knife is, he's hiding it. And his lawyer is here. And it's Microchip. He got there pretty fast. There was a time jump. So they're talking, and he's like, oh my God, Micro, is that you? And they talk about what was going on, and Punisher tells him, like, hey, I need you to take care of something for me. Go to this place. Get inside. There's a dog. Please take care of him. And then he also says, I'm going to need a plastic surgeon when I get out. So if you can start looking into that. And then he's like, let's go, counsel. So the guard takes him away. Let's go castle, not council. I saw counselor right here. And then he takes him to some weird random room. This kind of weird panel. I mean, you didn't need to show like all the detail in it, but it's kind of weird. Takes him into some random back room. He says, wait here. And there's Gregario. It's payback time. Punisher comes out of the shadows right here. And the guard shuts the door, trapping him in there. So there you got Jigsaw, Gregario, and these henchmen coming up on Punisher. And he's got this knife here. And this cool Punisher symbol right there. That's just cool when they throw that kind of stuff in. So, Punisher, now that he's got a knife, this is a cool moment. It's fucking violent. Blocks him there, cuts him across the chest right there, and then cuts his throat right there very violently. I like the emotion on his face, like the anger and rage, and then he just fucking kicks him right in the stomach. He says, who else wants to rock with me? He said, who else wants to fuck with me? It should be the thing. These guys are like, what the shit? Now, I often will say that sometimes I feel Punisher is depicted as over-the-top violence, and he doesn't need to be. I mean, his first appearance was in a Spider-Man comic, right? So Marvel isn't going to make him too terribly violent. So I'm a little surprised that this amount of violence was allowed at the time. I mean, it's the 90s, so it is what it is. This got past the Comics Code Authority, I'm guessing. Yeah. But I think the violence, when done right and done sparingly, where, this is like a situation where it needs to be pretty violent. I always looked at these shirts and thought they were cool. Wish I could have had some, especially this one Magneto. So another cool shot here. These guys are coming. Punisher dives to the floor right here and does like a flip and kicks these two guys that are coming up to him. That's a cool moment. And he's fighting these three guys by himself. This is a little weird. I mean, talk about this artist where he can do some cool action scenes, but this, he's standing, he's swiping, he's kicking this guy. I don't know. That just doesn't quite work for me. But that's okay. Still, fighting off as best he can, but the numbers he gets overwhelmed, and there's even more guys now. It looks like. Is there? 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, there's only 3 guys. I don't know. And so they got him here, and Jigsaw comes up to him, and this guy says, "Yo, homeboy, stick him. Don't play with him. Just fucking stab him and get it over with. Just kill him." This guy, he hits him in the face. Don't tell me what to do. I mean, I like this hand, but only because I'm just going to put a dig on Rob Liefeld. Rob Liefeld was considered to be such an amazing artist back in the day, but could Rob Liefeld draw this shit? He never draw a hand where it looks like the hand is actually holding something, where it makes sense. And Rob Liefeld would draw something, but then it would be coming out weird like that. He never took the time. So these are shows what a good artist is. This guy is way better than Rob Liefeld is, in my opinion. Maybe not as flashy at times, but he's a much better storyteller. He draws proportions right. Things look realistic and make sense. Draws backgrounds, storyline. It's easy to tell what's going on. But no one knows who this artist is, and everyone knows who Rob Liefeld is. So I guess style says, something to be said for style. So Jigsaw's yelling at him that, Punisher's got to suffer, so hold him. And he starts cutting into him pretty bad. And you see the insane look on him as he's just carving into his face, apparently. And you don't really see what's going on. But I've always liked this picture. You can see the pain on Punisher, the blood coming out in this last panel. It just amplifies what's going on with the pain and how much he's bleeding. So he must pass out. And he wakes up and his face is all bandaged, right? And he's blinking, and there's another guy right next to him. And it's this guy Pike, who helped him earlier, who gave him the knife, right? And again, I'm going to point it out, this black dude. Punisher's white. And then he says, "What happened to you?" And he's like, "Someone gassed my light bulb, won't last long. So someone fucked him up, like set a trap for him for whatever. He's got burns over 70% of his body. He's not going to last the night. He's basically dead, and he's all bandaged up too. It's like, I wish I had some of that morphine. And then you got this other dude over here. And he's like, that's funny. Look what Jigsaw did to you, and you're going to be sorry when he comes back to finish the job. And he's like, who are you? He's like, you threw soup on me. You threw me in a soup vat, sucker. He's like, I want to be wide awake when they come for you. So Jigsaw's coming to finish the job. Punisher, he's not going to wait around, so he gets up. And he has some morphine. He gives it to this guy Pike, who was helping him because he was in pain. He's like, you want my morphine? He's like, you ain't got AIDS, do you? Yeah, I'll take it. So they're kind of helping each other. And then Punisher comes up to this other guy. He has this pitcher of water, or I don't know if it's whatever it is. He bashes him over the face with this guy. And this guy Pike, he's like, listen, you've been straight with me, and my buddies, they're coming to bust me out, like real soon. They got an armor-piercing rocket. It's like, that's dumb. Like, they could kill us both. So, he's like, take your best shot. Find my homeboys. They won't be able to tell us apart the way we are. They know that you're black, Pike, and he's fucking white. I mean, you're bandaged on the face, but his arms are bare. Like, that's a dumb... Anyways, whatever. That's why I was pointing out, like, he's black, he's white. Because these guys aren't able to figure it out. So, Punisher hears people coming up. There's Jigsaw and these guys. Gregario's still there. I thought he got fucked up. I thought he got fucking murdered. Whatever. So, and then you see these guys, they're outside with that rocket we were talking about. They shoot it at. I like this transition here. Like, you feel the tension. They're talking about what's going on. The bad guys are coming. They're at the door. You see the guys outside the prison. They shoot. And then Jigsaw comes bursting in. Payback time. And Punisher is waiting for him. Yeah, he's holding something. I can't tell what it is. And just bashes Jigsaw in the face as soon as he comes in. And then as soon as that happens, an explosion. How did these guys know where they were going to be in the prison? I don't know. It doesn't matter, ultimately. So Punisher is able to escape through the hole, and he gets down. He's swimming, and these guys pick him up. And they're like, fuck, he passed out. But again, how do they not know that this isn't Pike? His face is covered more or less, but his arms are not. Pike is a black dude. He's black. This guy is white. These guys are fucking stupid. Plot hole, again, doesn't matter. It is what it is. So that's the end of this issue. And we're going to stop it here. Thanks for watching. Leave a like if you could. And pretty soon there'll be another video with the next couple of issues. So stay tuned for that. So I'll catch you in that next video. And as always, thanks for watching.